The entire history of the Persian Empire, over several centuries, beginning in the 6th century BC and continuing until the 20th century A, a succession of dynasties that were centered in what is now Iran were referred to as the Persian Empire. The first Persian Empire was established by Cyrus the Great about the year 550 BC. It grew to become one of the largest empires in history, extending from the Balkan Peninsula in Europe in the west to the Indus Valley in India in the east. Before falling to the invading troops of Alexander the Great, this Iron Age dynasty, which is often referred to as the Achaemenid Empire, was a global hub of culture, religion, science, art, and technology for more than 200 years. Cyrus, a great Cyrus. The Persian Empire was initially comprised of a group of semi-nomadic tribes that lived on the Iranian plateau and produced livestock such as sheep, goats, and cattle. Cyrus the Great, the leader of one of these tribes, began to conquer neighboring kingdoms such as Media, Lydia, and Babylon and brought them under his dominion. In the year 550 BC, he established the First Persian Empire, which was also referred to as the Achaemenid Empire. It wasn't long before the First Persian Empire, which was ruled by Cyrus the Great, became the first superpower in the world. Mesopotamia, the Nile Valley in Egypt, and the Indus Valley in India were all significant areas of early human civilization in the ancient world. It brought these three locations under the authority of a single government. The Cyrus cylinder is a clay cylinder that was engraved in 539 BC with the account of how Cyrus the Great captured Babylon from King Nabonidus, bringing an end to the Neo-Babylonian kingdom. This cylinder is considered to be permanent evidence of Cyrus's greatness. Darius the Great, the fourth monarch of the Achaemenid Empire, ruled over the Persian Empire when it was at its largest. At that time, the Persian Empire encompassed a vast territory that extended from the Caucasus and West Asia to what is now known as Macedonia, the Balkans, the Black Sea, Central Asia, and even into Africa, including parts of Libya and Egypt. By establishing a standardized currency and weights and measures system, as well as by establishing Aramaic as the official language and constructing highways, he was able to bring the empire together. In addition to being an essential piece of information for decoding cuneiform script, the Behistun inscription is a multilingual relief that was carved into Mount Behistun in western Iran. It highlights his many admirable qualities. Comparisons have been made between its influence and that of the Rosetta Stone, which was a tablet that allowed researchers to decode Egyptian hieroglyphics. What is Persia? During the reign of Darius the Great, the Persian Empire reached as far south as Egypt and as far north as the Indus River Valley in northwest India. Its territory extended from the Balkan Peninsula in Europe, passing through sections of what are now the countries of Bulgaria, Romania, and Ukraine. Persians were the first people to build regular communication channels, linking three continents: Africa, Asia, and Europe. These routes were established by the Persians. They constructed a large number of new roads and established the first postal service in the world. The culture of Persia. A wide variety of artistic expressions, such as metalwork, rock carvings, weaving, and architecture, were produced by the ancient Persians who lived during the Achaemenid Empire. The expansion of the Persian Empire to include other cultural centers of early civilization resulted in the formation of a new style that was influenced by these various sources. There were massive rock reliefs that were carved into cliffs that were part of the early Persian art. These reliefs were discovered at Naksh-e-Rustem, which is an old cemetery that is packed with the tombs of Achaemenid monarchs. The intricate rock murals represent scenes of equestrian competitions as well as wins in battle. Metalwork was another trade that the ancient Persians were famous for. Smuggling agents made the discovery of gold and silver artifacts in the 1870s among ruins in the vicinity of the Oxus River in what is now the country of Tajikistan. Coins and bracelets with a griffin pattern were among the objects that were discovered. Also included was a little golden chariot. Persepolis, the capital of Persia, is represented by the mythical creature known as the griffin, which is a creature having the body of a lion and the wings and head of an eagle. It is estimated that approximately 180 of these gold and silver pieces, which are collectively referred to as the Oxus treasure, were transported to London by British diplomats and members of the military who were serving in Pakistan. These items are currently kept at the British Museum. There is evidence that the weaving of carpets in Persia dates back to the time of the nomadic tribes. The ancient Greeks placed a high value on the artistic craftsmanship of these hand-woven rugs. which were renowned for their intricate patterns and vivid hues. Wool, silk, and cotton are often used in the production of Persian carpets nowadays. It is called Persepolis. It is widely acknowledged that the ancient Persian capital city of Persepolis, which is located in southern Iran, is among the most significant archaeological sites in the world. Within the year 1979, it was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Achaemenid buildings that were constructed in Persepolis were constructed on enormous terraces. The long rock relief sculptures that the ancient Persians were famed for were incorporated into the ornate facade that was used to embellish them. The religion of the Persians. Many people have the misconception that Persia is synonymous with Islam, even though Islam did not become the main religion in the Persian Empire until after the Arab conquests occurring in the 7th century. Zoroastrianism, a distinct religion, was the driving force behind the formation of the First Persian Empire. The religion of Zoroastrianism is one of the oldest monotheistic religions in the world. It was named after the prophet Zoroaster, who was also known as Zarathustra. Despite the passage of time, it is still practiced as a minority religion in certain regions of Iran and India. It is believed that Zoroaster lived sometime between the years 1500 and 500 BC, and he instructed his followers to worship a single god rather than the several gods that were worshipped by earlier Indo-Iranian individuals. The Zoroastrian religion was deeply held by the Achaemenid kings. Cyrus the Great was a tolerant monarch who permitted his subjects to speak their languages and practice their religions, according to the majority of stories, at the same time that he ruled according to the Zoroastrian Code of Asha, which means truth and justice. He did not force Zoroastrianism on the people who lived in the lands that he had conquered. There is praise in the Hebrew scriptures for Cyrus the Great, who was responsible for releasing the Jewish people who were held captive in Babylon and allowing them to return to Jerusalem. Following in the footsteps of Cyrus the Great, subsequent rulers in the Achaemenid Empire had a hands-off approach to social and religious concerns. This allowed the diverse population of Persia to continue to practice their ways of life. Some people refer to this period as the Pax Persica, which translates to Persian peace. Following Cyrus's death, his relative Darius I, often known as Darius the Great, ascended to the throne and built the empire to its highest point. Darius was aware that for such a huge space to function effectively, it was necessary to properly plan and arrange it using the appropriate guidelines. Through the establishment of a mail service that covered the entire empire, as well as a structure of provinces and governors, he was able to build vast communication capabilities. It was under the reign of Xerxes, Darius's son, that the Persian Empire started to see a fall. As a result of his fruitless invasion of Greece, Xerxes exhausted the royal coffers, and upon his return to his homeland, he continued his irresponsible spending. Alexander the Great was ultimately successful in his conquest of Persia in the year 334 BCE. It was the end of the Persian Empire. Following Xerxes' unsuccessful invasion of Greece in the year 480 BC, the Persian Empire entered a period of decline before its collapse continued. Because of the expensive defense of Persia's lands, the empire's revenues were drained, which resulted in increased taxation on the people who lived under Persia. Alexander the Great of Macedonia's invading army was ultimately successful in bringing down the Achaemenid dynasty in the year 330 BC. The subsequent rulers of the Persian Empire endeavored to bring the empire back to the Achaemenid bounds. Nevertheless, the empire never quite reached the immense extent it had achieved under Cyrus the Great.